Welcome to the second part of my Slayer guide. In the first part, we went over Zombie, Spider and Wolf Slayer, so if you're interested in any of those, feel free to check it out here. Anyways, tall men. We hate them, for some reason, so we must purge them all. The first tier of the Void Gloom Seraph is pretty easy to kill, but much harder than the first tier of the other 3 bosses. Its damage is somehow higher than any of the 4th tier bosses you've faced so far, but its HP is pretty low. Basically, if you've got either Freeform Shadow Assassin with a Zombie Knight chestplate, or maybe a Torrential helmet instead of the SA helmet, then you should be fine here. Otherwise, don't attempt this boss if you've just started playing, because it will kill you. The main reason to start this Slayer is to unlock the Juju Shortbow, and if you're trying to do that, you have 2 routes. Either do 50 tier 1s, which honestly doesn't take that long, bro I'm stuck, or try to do tier 2s instead. If you're doing tier 1s, you don't really need any special weapon because of how low its HP is. If you are dying though, I recommend something like a Wand of Mending or Restoration. These really help out. But if you're doing tier 2s, you'll need a lot of stuff. And I really do mean a lot. First, upgrade your weapon to something like a 1-for-all Livid Dagger or Shadow Fury. Upgrade your armor to Freeform Necron plus Torrential Helmet or Reaper Mask if you're dying too much. Get a Baby Yeti, preferably with a Shelmet, an Ornate Zombie Sword, a Mana Flux. Yeah, you get my point. If you're trying to get Enderman Slayer free so that you can use a Juju, just stick to tier 1s please. Here's the actual gear recommended for tier 2s, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think you should be doing Enderman Slayer until you've progressed much farther in the game. If you're doing these so that you can unlock an exclusive recipe like Final Destination armor, good. If not, then there's no real merit to what you're doing. Anyways, most of the gear is self-explanatory, but what's this one? It's the subscribe button, of course. Very easy to get to. You just click the shiny red button. Maybe even press the like button if you're feeling extra funky. Oh, and what are these? These are tank zombies from dungeons. To get them, you'll need to kill tank zombies with a Necromancy weapon in preferably Master Mode floor 3. But Powliner, I'm Catacombs -12. How can I do that? Fear not, there exists a Discord for this exact purpose where you can buy these souls for a very fair price. Something else you'll need to work on is your attack speed. For this, I recommend reforging your epic talismans to strange, and if that's not enough, your uncommons as well. It does cap at 82% though, so when you get to that you can stop. Okay, let's go for the boss really quickly. For spawning the boss, just use a legendary wolf pet. Make sure to have your tank zombies out before you spawn the boss, spawn it, place down your mana flux, and let the tank zombies take care of the hits phase and that homework assignment you've been putting off the whole day. Once it's out of the hits phase, just slap it with your weapon. If you get low, step back a little, use your Ornate Zombie Sword or Healing Wand to heal, and let the tank zombies distract him. Also, make sure to replace your mana flux whenever it runs out. Now once this boss gets below 50% HP, it'll start throwing out beacons, which you can get rid of by just standing adjacent to them. If these aren't taken care of within 5 seconds, you will get insta-killed. This might seem simple enough, but you can easily get lost amidst all the chaos. So I recommend using mods that can change the color of the beacons. Personally, I recommend Skytils, but if you have SBE, you can also use that of course. The gear I recommend here might be a bit overkill, but don't try this without the right weapon, armor, or tank zombies please. You can skip a healing item if you don't think you need it though. Okay, tier 3 time. For this one I strongly recommend a Freeform Final Destination and Warden helmet. But if you're broke, you can go with full Final Destination instead. Although this doesn't really work, because being broke means not having money, and Soulflow, well you see, costs a lot of money. So yeah, just get the Warden helmet. You can also use Necron instead of Final Destination if you can easily survive. For your weapon, I recommend a 1-for-all Giant Sword. Or, if you're already Enderman Slayer 5, get the Vorpal Katana instead. This thing is way better. You don't really need any other upgrades here. It's more or less the same thing, have your tank zombies deal with the hits phase, slap it with your big meaty sword, take care of the beacons when they're thrown out, and so on. But the tier 3 Void Gloom also has a new ability. These stupid heads. They start spawning when he dips below 1/3 of his HP and can stack up pretty quickly. Luckily for you, much like today's teenagers, they have a really bad case of shyness. So once they're at them and they'll instantly vaporize. All you wanna do is not let too many of these stack up, but that can sometimes be easier said than done since you also need to get rid of the beacons in the process. This boss takes a bit of getting used to, but you'll get the hang of it eventually. That's tier 3 out of the way, and you know which number comes after 3? That's right, 73,629,100. The tier 4 Voidgloom Seraph is absolutely insane. This thing has 300 million HP, 21,000 DPS, 5 wives, 7 girlfriends, and abilities that will make your brain shut down if you're not experienced enough. Let me get this out of the way first. You need good gear for this boss. A lot of tutorials on YouTube say how you can do it without a Warden helmet, Plasma Flux, Hyperion, a Loving Father, whatever. But what they don't realize is that their skills and talismans are much better than yours. And even if you can do it by some miracle, it's not worth it. It takes too long and you could be spending your time better. This is an endgame boss, and here's the gear I recommend for it. For spawning the boss, you can go with the mythic Enderman, although a legendary wolf still works fine. During the fight, the recommended pet is an Ender Dragon. It's expensive, but it really helps. Alternatively, you can use a baby yeti or blue whale, but I don't recommend it. Put a shellmet on whatever you're using though. For healing during the boss, you have 2 routes you can take. The first is a Wand of Atonement and a Scylla. It's very simple. Whenever you're low, just use their abilities to heal up. The second way is by using an Endstone Sword. The idea is that you first heal up if you're low, then use the Endstone Sword's ability to become immune to damage for 5 seconds, and in those 5 seconds, you do 50 million damage to the boss to either reach the beams or his face. Now I can't do this because I suck, and if you can't either, you should just stick to your Wand of Atonement and Scylla instead. No matter which you choose, you'll need the following gear though. A 1-for-all Atom Split Katana and a Warden helmet with Free Force Final Destination. If you think you can survive even after swapping some Final Destination pieces for Necron, then try it by all means. Eventually, you should get good enough at it to do it in Free Force Necron and a Warden helmet. Some people even go for an elegant Tuxedo chestplate for the extra damage, and if I'm being honest with you, I have no clue how they survive. It's one of the top 10 greatest mysteries for sure. Next, you'll need a Plasma Flux. Certain individuals can do it with an Overflux as well, but if you're like me and aren't particularly talented, you probably won't be able to. There's also yet another support item called the Gloomlock Grimoire, which can be very useful in this boss fight to regen mana. Basically, if you're ever out of mana, you can forfeit a fourth of your HP to gain 600 overflow mana. That's all. Okay, let's walk through the boss real quick. Same as always, you call up your guys, spawn the boss, place down your power orb, and let the tank zombies take care of the hits phase. Next, it's your time to shine. As always, just slap it. Obviously, you want to have the Atom Split ability active at all times, because of the ferocity it provides. Once it gets down to 250 million HP, it'll show you its new ability. This one is exclusive to tier 4 Voidglooms, and unlike all the previous abilities, this one's great. It gives you some time to relax and regen your mana. Speaking of regening mana, use a Mana Steel Soul Whip to greatly speed up this process. Then slap him more, let your guys take care of the hits phase, etc, etc. There's not much more to it, but if you're still confused, I'll upload a clip of me fighting a tier 4 Voidgloom and link it in the description. Okay, that's basically all there is to the Enderman.
Powliner, you baboon!
Sample? Is that you?
You forgot about Necromancy, you absolute ape.
Oh, my bad. No wait, how are you even here? And he's gone. Okay, very interesting. Yeah, so remember how I was saying you need some pretty crazy gear to beat even tier 3s? Turns out I lied. Go figure. All you really need is 2500 mana in Wise Dragon armor, a legendary sheep, and 2 funny little men. Let's go over these 2 boys first. These are admin souls from Master Mode. It's very difficult to find them yourself, but you can just buy them in the same Discord server you bought the tank zombies in. Also, slap Ultimate Wise 5 on the Necromancer's sword. A legendary sheep is pretty cheap, but apart from this, you'll also need 2.5k mana in Wise Dragon armor. Now you probably get nowhere close to that, but let me show you how it's not as difficult as you might think. I recommend using a textbook on your sheep, reforging your armor to necrotic, and putting Wisdom 5 on all pieces. The next thing you should do is get a Soulflow pile. A Gloomlock Grimoire works even better, but I assume you don't have Enderman Slayer 6. Then you'll need a Spirit Scepter. The reason you'll need it is because you'll sword swap to it from the Necromancer's sword as you spawn them in. And if you still don't have enough, you can also recomb your Wise Dragon armor. and if all else fails, you can start changing your talismans to bizarre. With all of this, you should easily have the 2.5k mana needed to spawn in 2 admin souls, which can solo a tier 3 Void Gloom. All you need to do yourself is spawn it, hit it once, use your Withercloak sword and retreat to a safe position. Next, swap to Goblin armor to not die. If you have a Gloomlock Grimoire, you can also use it to basically become immortal in Goblin armor. And if you just want to kill tier 2s, you only need to spawn in 1 admin soul, which is very easy. You can even AFK tier 4 Void Glooms, but for that you need some pretty crazy gear since you need to spawn in 2 Hypixels. Or 1 Hypixel and damaging him yourself with magic abilities because they don't aggro him. However, I don't really know enough about this, so I'll link a video Simply Sample made in the description if you're interested. How profitable is this Slayer though? If you're doing tier 4s pretty efficiently, they're very profitable. Even the run-of-the-mill drop they have goes for a decent bit of coins. And if you get really lucky and drop a Judgment Core, you've practically won the lottery. Oh, and while I was recording, I found these guys doing whatever they're doing. After a while of this, they killed all the Endermen and spawned a bunch of bosses. So I think this is just a huge combat XP farm. Pretty interesting. Okay, that's really it now. I am very tired. Good night, everyone.